The A's paying an ace? You're not dreaming. This is what real change could look like. Today on Locked On A's.
You are Locked On A's, your daily podcast on the Athletics, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now, the #1 sports podcast network. My name is Booney, one name, all passion, no sugarcoating. I'm a lifelong A's fan who has spent the past season covering this team every single day, post-game breakdowns, prospect deep dives, roster decisions, and all the chaos in between. And there has been a lot of chaos. And in the offseason, yes, believe it or not, we are still covering the A's every single day. And I don't show up with corporate talking points or highlight real cliches. I show up with honesty, edge, and the perspective of someone who refuses to let this team be treated like an afterthought. If you want blind optimism, look elsewhere. If you want truth, fire, and a voice that actually cares, welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team, your A's every single day. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. And on today's Locked On A's, with the A's heading to Vegas in 2028, the game changes. Attendance is projected to triple. Sponsorships are set to explode, and Major League Baseball is expecting the A's to spend. This isn't about buying a playoff berth. It's about buying credibility in a city that demands it. I'll cover that later. We take a walk through recent baseball history, examining how teams like the Rangers, the Mariners, the D-backs shifted momentum by landing a front-of-the-rotation starter. They were calculated risks taken at the right time to flip the narrative. I will cover that in a few minutes. This offseason has had me bouncing around like a ping pong ball in a dryer, ricocheting from one grand vision to the next with zero regard for logic, sleep, or emotional stability. I have said it all. One day I'm mapping out a cautious, responsible roster. The next, I'm mainlining caffeine and convincing myself Cedric Mullins is already on a flight to Sacramento and Jarren Duran is clearing customs with a green and gold duffel bag. Every rumor becomes a reason to abandon the last plan. Every whisper of interest becomes a blockbuster, and every cold brew doubles my confidence in trades that would get me escorted out of a GM meeting. But here's the kicker. Amid all this self-inflicted offseason whiplash, one move actually cuts through the chaos with brutal, undeniable clarity. Yeah, Zac Gallen. Zac Gallen makes sense. While I've spent weeks spinning myself into a tornado of what if or why not, Gallen is the rare idea that sticks even after the caffeine crash. He's the anchor in a sea of delusion. And in a winter where my brain has turned into a back alley carnival ride, he's the one decision that feels less like a fever dream and more like the moment the A's finally plant their flag and say, yeah, Vegas, and why Gallen is the right pitcher at the right time. The A's are on a verge of a new era. We're relocating to Las Vegas. The pressure is mounting, and we are getting tired of the old small spender reputation. The A's have a rare opportunity to redefine themselves. One bold way to do so is by signing somebody like Gallen in free agency ahead of 2026. Now, we would have to overpay for Gallen, obviously. What else is new? Right now, Spot Track has Gallen getting potentially 4 years, $75 million. Okay. The A's have to spend approximately $35 million this year. Who was our two big signings last year that we spent money on? Luis Severino at 22 and change, and Jose Leclerc. You add those together, $32 million. Those were our two big offseason signings. In order to get somebody like Zac Gallen, it's going to take one of two things. It's going to take something like another year. Instead of teams offering him 4 years, $75 million, the A's would have to do something like 5 years, $100 million. And maybe even an option for a sixth. We'd have to overpay like that for someone like Zac Gallen. $100 million might seem outlandish for a historically frugal franchise like the A's, but a deep dive into Gallen's performance, the A's circumstance shows why this gamble could be the right move at the right time. Zac Gallen makes us a playoff team next year if he's anywhere close to the Zac Gallen we've seen in the past. He's 30 years old, and he hits the market as one of the top starting pitchers available. His track record over the past few seasons showcased frontline ability. In 2022, dominant, 2.54 ERA in 184 innings, a strikeout rate of 27%, walk rate 6.6%. He finished 5th in NL Cy Young voting. In 2023, 210 innings, 3.47 ERA, 220 Ks, earned the All-Star start, placed 3rd in Cy Young voting. He anchored Arizona's rotation through a surprise postseason run, even carrying a no-hitter into the 7th inning of a World Series game. In short, Gallen demonstrated that his peak is a true number one starter. He is a true ace. Obviously, last year, he was shaky. And that's why we're even having this conversation. If he was not shaky last year, we wouldn't even be talking about Zac Gallen right now. What makes Zac Gallen a potential target for the A's is his bad 2025. He endured the worst season of his career, 4.83 ERA across 33 starts. Strikeout rate fell to 21.5%, and it continued a 3-year downward trend. He allowed 31 bombs. That inflated his ERA, but he still remained a workhorse, 192 innings. He posted a much improved 3.97 ERA in the second half. Even in August, I believe his ERA was 2.75, I want to say. In fact, even in a down year for Gallen, his wins above replacement was at 3.9, a figure that many teams would slot up top of rotation. I like him a lot, man. Teams are divided on whether 2025 was an omen of decline or an outlier. Optimists like myself see a durable 30-year-old poised for a positive regression to his prior form. Gallen's value lies in his combination of his past excellence and possible depressed costs, man. This winter's market features big names like Dylan Cease, Framber Valdez, pitchers who had a stronger 2025. And they're going to get your 9-figure deals. They're going to get the deals offered by the Yankees and the Dodgers. But, like I said, the reason why we are having this conversation is because of Gallen's down year in 2025. I've seen anywhere from 4 years, $75 million, to others where I've seen 4 years, $80 million. We have to pay more, and we have to pay more over more years, and we have to spend the money. There's no question about that. We have 30 to 35 million we have to spend. But Gallen checks every box the A's need in a leader. He's seasoned, still in his prime, and may come at a relative discount for the A's, believe it or not. But if this is such a smart move, why aren't more teams lining up to pay him? Up next, how other mid-market teams paid the way with risky, high-reward ace signings and what the A's could potentially learn from them. We'll cover that up next. NFL season is back, and honestly, there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by the Game Time guarantee. You will always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Game Time, and in just a couple taps, I saw an amazing deal. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. The app made it super simple. I could even see the exact view from my seat before buying. I love zone deals as well. Pick the section. Game Time picks the seats and you save big. And you are in an advantage if you are in Nevada looking for those Vegas Raider tickets. Just saying. Honestly, it's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I have bought tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. Thank you for making Locked On A's part of your everyday routine and your first listen. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. If you are not yet an everydayer, please hit that subscribe button. We are free and available on all platforms, including YouTube. If you do reside in the state of Nevada, we are on Monday through Friday at 12:30 p.m. on Silver State Sports and Entertainment, Digital Channel 5.2, and Cox Cable Channel 77. A's fans, there's a brand new way to live this wild, wonderful ride with me. I'm inviting you to join the Locked On A's subtext community, a fresh extra layer of connection for those of you who want to go deeper, laugh harder, argue smarter, and live the green and gold life with a little more juice. The link is sitting right here in today's show notes on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Tap it and you are in. Here's what makes this thing special. It's you and me, one-on-one, text conversations about everything from the rookie smashing expectations to trade thoughts, memories, questions, wild predictions, you name it. You get early reactions, behind the scene musings, fan giveaways, thought drops, and all the bonus material that doesn't always make it into the show, but absolutely deserves daylight. This isn't replacing the podcast. Nothing changes here. You still get Locked On A's every day, loud and proud. This is simply more for those who want more, a tighter circle, a louder voice, a front row pass to the heartbeat of A's Nation. Try it free for 14 days. If it's your vibe, it's only $4.99 a month after that. If it's not, no hard feelings. We keep living our lives same as ever. Zac Gallen. Let's talk about signing a frontline starter, something A's haven't done and I don't know for how long. This is new territory for the A's, but it's a strategy that other mid-market or rebuilding teams have used. And it starts the type of turnaround. Recent history, when we're looking at other teams overpaying for top pitching prospects. Diamondbacks in 2015, they inked Zac Gallen to a 6-year, $207 million deal. $34 million a year. It was a record then. The move signaled that the D-backs were serious about contending, and Gallen provide ace quality performance. 3.40 in his tenure in Arizona. It was an overpay in dollars, but it elevated the franchise credibility. How about in 2021? Robbie Ray, Mariners coming off a 20-year playoff drought, signed Cy Young Award winner Robbie Ray, 5 years, $115 million deal with an opt-out. Mariners not a big market juggernaut, but they identified a frontline lefty as a missing piece into contention. Ray's signing was part of a cultural change in Seattle. a signal that the M's would spend to end their losing narrative. And I've talked about culture before. I've talked about it on many of occasions. Signing somebody like Gallen, and I don't care if you're overpaying for him, does something with regard to culture. It does something with regard to fan base. And it does something that this organization is finally moving in the right direction. And it puts us as playoff contenders next year. It makes sense. Now, I get it. Gallen's, for the most part, at least last year, a fly ball pitcher. He gave up a lot of bombs. Would he fit in somewhere like Vegas where the elevation's high? Well, let's put it this way. The 3 easiest parks to hit in all of Major League Baseball, I'm talking about the last 4 years, was Colorado, Boston, and Arizona. In that order. Colorado, Boston, and Arizona. So it's not like Gallen has not pitched in a park that is favored towards the hitter. The A's need to make some sort of change. They need to make some sort of cultural change, some sort of sign that gets this franchise excited. Now, I've talked all offseason about extending the youngsters, Kurtz, Wilson, Soderstrom. Am I going away from that? No, I'm not. I am saying if you can sign a frontline guy like Zac Gallen, overpay for him, you have to spend the money. You do so. We still have team control over guys like Langoliers, Soderstrom, Wilson, Kurtz. We're going to have to fork up that money if we want to sign him. And at the same time, what's Vegas going to be like? Is it going to be the revenue, the absolute revenue goldmine? I believe it will. Yes. And if that does happen with regard to corporate sponsorships, everything that goes on on the strip, people wanting to be there. And obviously at the end of the day, we got to win. I don't think we're going to have a problem forking over that money. But Zac Gallen, we get any part of the Zac Gallen that who he was in the past few years, we're in the playoffs next year, guys. All of a sudden, our rotation looks like this. Gallen, Severino, Springs, Lopez, Morales. Jeff Passan reported earlier on today that the A's were looking to make some moves, looking to make some trades. And what other teams have basically said was that the A's were not willing to give up any hitters. They were not willing to give up any hitters for pitchers. 2027, Jeffrey Springs has a has a team option. I think that's relatively inexpensive, but we'll see what he does next year. Severino's off the books in 2028. This deal makes sense. By the time Severino is off the books, by the time Springs is off the books, all of a sudden now we have Gage Jump and Jamie Arnold, and they'll be ready. It is the absolute right move for all the right reasons. And history shows that overpaying for an ace is often the first domino in building a contender, not the final one. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. I encourage you to keep the conversation going with me after the show on X. You could find me at Locked On A's or in the YouTube comment section right below. You can also find me on Instagram at Locked On A's. And if you would like to shoot me an email, you can get me at lockedonathletics@gmail.com. But if our objective is to get pitching, to make this roster better through free agency, let's not screw around. Let's not mess around. Let's not get Gio Urshela. Let's not get Luis Urias. Let's not get Jose Leclerc. Let's not get a combination of guys that add up to be about $36, $37 million. Let's get one guy. Let's get one guy and sign him and overpay for him if we need to. Because other than Zac Gallen on the market, as far as pitching, there's not much else I want. We're not going to get your Valdez. We probably won't get your Dylan Cease. Either way, I'd probably rather have Zac Gallen than Dylan Cease. But, I mean, that's up for the debate. Point being is I want one guy we can hang our hat on. And when Zac Gallen's right, he's an ace. He's a legitimate ace. And we are a playoff team next year. We are a playoff team in 2027. We are a playoff team in 28. You guys know what happens in the playoffs. Anything can happen. Are we good enough to win a World Series? I tell you this much. If our young lineup continues to grow up the way they are and continues to progress and get better, maybe. Pitching is going to be the question. Pitching is obviously going to be the question. That's what I'm concerned about. That's what we're all concerned about fans. Master, they got to be like Boston last year and trade for that number one guy. Like Crochet, right? I don't want to trade, though. Who are we going to trade for, though, Master? Who are we going to trade? What do we have to give up in order to trade, though? We don't have the assets. We don't have the pieces to trade for a high target guy. We don't have it. It's going to take a lot more than Lawrence Butler. For example, Hunter Green. Let's say someone like Hunter Green. You would have to go with Brent Rooker, Shea Langoliers just to start the conversation. That's what Hunter Green's going. You want to do that? Brent Rooker and Shea Langoliers just to start the conversation for somebody like Hunter Green. Rooker, Langoliers, Henry Bolte, and Braden Nett it would take to get Hunter Green. I don't want to do that. And then you got to re-sign Hunter Green. Maybe that's a situation we look at when we're in Vegas. But for right now, for who we are and going forward, this is the hand we're dealt. About $35 million to spend next year. Let's not screw around with it. Let's not tiptoe around and get this guy and that guy and this veteran pitcher and kind of piece it together. Go all in on one guy. Overpay for him. Take a shot. Maybe he could be that guy. Unless you have a better way to spend that money. Sure. The alternative, extend Kurtz. Extend Wilson. Extend Soderstrom. That's kind of where I'm getting at, fellas. I don't know. Is it the right move? Wrong move? If we have to spend the money, my top two things is get somebody like Zac Gallen. A frontline starter, overpay for him. Or extend the young crew. Will they accept it? I don't know. The money has to go somewhere. But I don't want, the last thing I want is 5 guys that are okay. I hope they make a run at Zac Gallen. What kind of caused me to think about this today was the article Major League Baseball trade rumors put out with regard to Jeff Passan and talking about the A's and how they've put calls out to make potential trades for pitching, but they don't want to give up any hitting, which I'm all right with. I like that. Put Lawrence Butler in those trade talks. But at the same time, is somebody like Lawrence Butler going to get us a frontline starter? No, he's not. Not even close. He'll get us like a number 4 guy. My dream off season is this, guys. Here's my dream off season. Zac Gallen and trade for Ke'Bryan Hayes. I know you guys don't like Ke'Bryan Hayes. I get it. I like him. Okay. Your guys' opinion is well taken. You don't like Ke'Bryan Hayes. I like Ke'Bryan Hayes. I think he comes cheap. He's the best defensive player in all of baseball, period, at all positions. I would take a flyer on Ke'Bryan Hayes. He comes cheap, and we could trade for him. We don't have to pay a premium. We don't have to give up a whole lot. I want Ke'Bryan Hayes. I want Zac Gallen. Dream off season for me. That's it. That's all I want. Everybody else. And then let's spend in Vegas when Kurtz, Soderstrom, Wilson, when they're up, let's pay and do what it takes to extend them. They said we're going to spend in Vegas. They said they better. But that's my off season. But we get those 2 guys. I mean, look how this lineup shapes up. Look how the pitching shapes up. I would put that team up against anybody in the American League. We played with everybody on last year's roster in the American League. That's my 2 cents, guys. I will check you guys out on Monday. I'll be back on Monday. Thanks again for making Locked On A's part of your day. If you have not done so yet, please subscribe, like, and comment. All of those things will help grow this community for A's fans to find more easily. Now, for your second listen, check out Locked On MLB. Your pal Sully breaks down the most exciting teams in all of Major League Baseball, from off-season moves to the beginning of spring training and everything in between. Find Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks again, and I will see you all on Monday. Have a great weekend.